right. I think she foreign. I think she foreign. Got passports. What's your nationality? I wonder if there's more of you. She's got my attention.
Have you heard of matchmaking services like a foreign affair? Are they legit? I was debating coming to Colombia to go on one of those tours to find a long term partner. So I'm not the one to give you that information because I've never been on one. I do have a video about speed dating, a speed dating agency that's here in Latin America. It's here in Colombia. I did go to one. I didn't participate, but I did film it and I talked about it. I'm not a big believer in those because I believe the girls that are going to those are what I usually call gringo hunters. Mostly foreign men need to use those. Local men don't really need to use them. So they're going in it and they're going into it with the mind that, hey, I'm going to get me a foreigner. And me personally, I usually like to have Colombian women that have very little to no experience with foreigners, whether it's English, shit. I don't even want them to have tried American food, you know? So, like, the less experience they have with foreigners, the better. So, whenever I look at a girl's profile or whatever, I've seen that she's traveled, she speaks English, all of those things. I'm usually like, nah, I'm cool. I'd rather deal with a girl that is more local. And one of the main things that you'll see as well with these girls that are the Colombian tens, which is why I always say you guys need to stop chasing them. As a man, our job is to obtain, and as a woman, their job is to retain, to basically hold on to. And what you will notice is that a lot of these Colombian tens, they do not have the ability to retain. A lot of them are just getting used, or they're in like little short-term relationships, and then they're back out single again. Or maybe they're still in a relationship and they're still looking anyways. Who knows? But a lot of them do. A lot of Colombian women, it's not even just the tens. It's the lower ratings as well. A lot of them just don't have a great ability to be able to retain men. Well, this is why they're always single. And of course, they always say, "Ah, the guy did this, the guy did that," but it's because here in Colombia, they're not never going to take accountability. At some of these dinners that I've done, I asked the girl, I'm like, "Oh, hey, are you guys single or boyfriend, married, whatever?" They're single, and I always ask. And I used to do this in the United States just to see how accountable a girl will be and how honest will they be with themselves. You know, I would always say, "Oh, what happened in your last relationship? What do you feel you did wrong?" And almost every time, "Oh, I didn't do anything. The guy did this, the guy did that." It's like they can never own what they did. There's been a few times I've had some girls who who would own up to it and be like, "You know what, I did this, this led to arguments, I could have did this better, whatever, whatever." But it's usually very rare and almost never here in actually not almost never, it's never here in Colombia where a girl will take responsibility for something that she did or admit, what part she played into a relationship ending previously. But to answer your question, I'm not a big fan of them. Not saying that they don't work, not saying you can't find a good woman in those, because you probably can. More than likely, these women tend to be a little bit older. Older women tend to be a little bit more serious. Obviously, they want to settle down and find somebody. I think as well, and I've said this many times before, if you are not living in Colombia or you don't plan on moving here within like three to 6 months, I do not think it's worth trying to have a relationship here. Both people have needs. Men have needs, women have needs. As men, we have physical needs, and as women, their needs is attention. So for the most part, they're getting their needs met through you video calling them, texting them all the time, whatever. And also it's getting met through social media if they're on social media. But that physical need part isn't there. And eventually it just kind of naturally grows into more insecurity, more trust issues, stuff like that. And they just don't really work out. It's hard enough for long distance relationships to work out, even when you live in the same country, let alone two different countries. And you're also adding in a language barrier as well. For the most part, if you don't speak, good Spanish. I've been in a relationship here and I've had to have like the deep conversations. Now, granted, as I said, I'm not fluent in Spanish, regardless of how good I sound or how good I understand it. I'm not fluent in Spanish. So there are going to be conversations that need to be had that I'm not going to be able to have fully in Spanish. Even with my ex, there were conversations where part of it, yes, it was in actual Spanish, but part of it was also through a translator because I just couldn't understand or I didn't have the words to express how I really felt. And the thing that sucks about the translator is that it's not always going to translate correctly or translate well. So it's just gonna mix up some things. Like there's even times where I'm messaging girls and I'll translate it and I'm like, that's not how it would be said. So I have to go erase some things and then add in some things, like for in general, whenever you translate something, if you translate the word friend, it's always going to translate it in the masculine form, which is amigo. And I may be asking a girl, hey, are you coming alone or are you coming with a friend? And it's going to translate it into the male form. Are you coming solo or are you coming with a amigo? When it should be, are you coming sola or are you coming con una amiga? So I have to go back and correct things. It's the same thing with just normal speech. So um yes, it is a possibility. Sorry, I'm kind of ranting here. It is a possibility that you could find a woman through one of these agencies. I just would not really recommend doing it until you're a lot closer to relocating here. Um, and of course, I never recommend bringing a woman back to whatever country you are in because women by nature are followers and they will naturally start meeting women within that country and start following and um, start to adapt cultural trends in that country. So, like, there was a guy who was trying to get me to do a loyalty test for his girl who was in a DR. I'm like, hey, I'm in Colombia. This mostly works better if it's within Colombia. He's like, oh, I don't care. You could say you go to DR, whatever. He's planning on marrying this girl and bringing her back to DR. I was like, huge mistake. Keep her in the DR. And he was like, oh, I know, but I try to keep her away from, the certain type of American women or whatever. I was like, it doesn't matter. She got to go to work at some point, unless you're going to make her a stay-at-home wife. But she more than likely is just going to end up meeting other women that live there. She's going out, and those women are going to influence her in some way because, you know, women are kind of hive minded like that. Hey guys, if you enjoy content like this, please consider subscribing to the channel. Also, if you are planning on coming to Medellín, Colombia, you can book a consultation with me. My information will be in the description below.